Right. So this might be a multi-part series. We'll see how it goes. And not because I would want to play so much, but because I want to play so little. There's some interesting things this game does, but I didn't really want to play it at all or go far because while this art interesting, and the music's okay, it just doesn't. I don't know, something about it doesn't click together. Maybe it gets better as time goes on, but I didn't even finish the first stage. I don't know how far into it am I. This is a game that I got emailed if I would play the demo. I don't know if it was just if I was just another name on some mass send, or if somebody took the time to write it. So if I was a afterthought or somebody specifically emailed me. I think this wants to be in the same genre as Sonny. So a turn-based team versus team. It seems more like Sonny 1 than Sonny 2. You can't even direct what your ally does, as far as I can tell. Maybe those options unlock later, I don't know. It's just I didn't get very far because there's a bunch of things that really I don't want to play due to those. So first thing, game capture, window capture, neither of them work for me. Only screen capture, right? Then the thing that press here, why not just press any button, you know? And then this. What do you think of when you see this? The first thing that came into my mind is a phone game. Mobile focus. Why are all these so big? You know, Sony did it well because you had 3 small buttons, relatively speaking, on the screen, and then a HUD row like RTS games and other games do on the bottom, or like ability or skill rows, skill tabs on the bottom. World of Warcraft, Dragon Age Origins, I think even Deus Ex, the new one, just had a hotbar on the bottom for items that you could switch. Why is it like this? This just screams phone, because if a person is holding a phone like this, then those buttons in the L shape, you're just gonna move your thumb. This doesn't show a lot of respect. The worst offender I find in mobile games that try to be ports to PC is when they show that they didn't redesign it. Of course, this is a demo, version 0.1. But you already could have hidden this under, I think, could have hidden this under other buttons, small, like make it clear and have the player be able to see more of this, because then this takes away a lot from the art you're trying to display. Like, what's behind the coin here? What's behind the feedback button? What's behind all these? That's why Sony put a row under which nothing was hidden and then showed the art separate with transparent buttons. Like, this isn't even transparent. I can't see what's behind that unless I close the game, launch it again, take a screenshot, and hope that the screenshot actually works here, and then look in Paint to see what's detailed behind that. Now, coins, all of this can also be in like an inventory somewhere. The menus are like, this looks like loot boxes. This, yeah, okay, it could work, but it's not exactly clear. There's no post-battle report, like you got this item, and then why is an item here instead of at the start? In Sony you had a grid, just a simple grid with representative images. If you clicked it, it zoomed in, showed you an enhanced version, all the stats and everything. And then I don't even know what all this does. You can research gear apparently. Like, this game, it has a lot of potential, I think, in that it can be creative. Let me lower the volume. That it can be creative. But I don't know how much of that will be realized. Because, I mean, these buttons are too big. You know, what is this? Why do I see it here? This is the hotbar, but it only applies in combat. This doesn't have to be this big. It's just like, it all screams phone game. Phone game. To me, anyway. There's a lot of convolution I think the game could do with not just a tutorial, but simplifying of how it shows some things. Like this, yeah, this is okay. Why is it hidden under, what, 3? 1. Okay, 2 buttons. Why is it zoomed in and I have to scroll with a bar? Why can I just, arrow keys, for example? Or why doesn't it stretch to the screen when I click it? And if I like scroll wheel down, it comes up with this bar and then I can change it. It's like it's little things, but it's a demo. I don't know how much are they gonna do with it, but it's not very like clicking on me versus clicking on the teammate I have does nothing. It doesn't show different gear. It does show different abilities, but that's about it. You can't change gear. In Sonny you could. Of course, this game doesn't have to be Sonny, but this doesn't tell me anything. Tasks, no life support, the medic, 0 out of 1. In the story it does say, I think, that, oh well, we need a healer, or a healer could be nice, but why is that? Like, you could have a better description here. Of course, these are all things that can be ironed out as the versions progress, but I'm not very interested. Like, for showing space on the loading screen, spaceship, and I don't know, like space marines, and I don't mean any Warhammer or anything of that, just space soldiers. All I see is zones on one planet, Of course, there seems to be a lot of them planned, but this could do with, I don't know, like this just also screams a mobile game, like this icon alone. Because it drags your eyes away from everything else. Like, look at this, shiny, shop. And it's actually the in-game shop, not a microtransaction shop. You do, however, have a premium here. It just looks like a phone game. There you have keys. I'm just not sold. When I looked on the Steam page of this, I thought, yeah, okay, maybe it could be a single-player game, but it looks like it's a planned phone game with maybe some PC port. I don't know how well it will be done or will not be done. Very rough. Maybe with a lot of potential, but very rough. So, I'll show the combat in a minute. I gotta go away for a bit. The combat... Okay, I don't know if that got cut off. The combat potentially has potential. And of course it could use voice acting. I don't know why SP, why not energy, because in achievements it refers to energy. In here it's SP, whatever that means. I don't think it's spell points. So here's your hotbar. Instead of clicking on someone and then, a radial menu, which I think arguably had way more slots than this, you only get this many. I don't know, I think maybe it could use a radial menu as well, but Sonny wasn't designed as a primarily phone game. This I think was, because as you're holding it, your thumbs go along the bottom hotbar, so you can increase, like, everything screams phone game, and that's why I don't have much confidence or will to spend time with this. Think of that what you will. I'm the only thing I play on my phone is Endless Dungeon, and only like once per 2-3 months or per year, depends on the situation. Alright, so here's the medic. Let's just murder him. The abilities do seem interesting. You get combinations, you have a combo counter, adrenaline. No, you have a combo counter and there's like... Okay, let me mute the music for a second and then I'll turn it on. So, you have a combo counter. Let me demonstrate by using one not very good skill. Oh, and I got wiped by this guy. He's very OP. I think it's the equivalent of the ZPCI Elite, So let's... Well, I can't actually heal. Can I? Yeah, I can. Alright, so I got an extra shield. The shield bar doesn't work. There we go. So here's the combo counter, and then I can take that and use it to spend it on skills that use those points. I think a lot of these skills that I've seen so far are like inspired or just copies of monster skills in Sonny. You know how there's impair? Spend a percentage of your max health to make a target take extra damage for 12 turns. There's a version, I don't know if that's a regular skill because it's been so long since I played Sonny, but there's Blood Rush or something like that, which Frank in the prison uses. He uses a big part of his health, I think like 10%, maybe more, and does increased damage. So I think it's this, where you use a big part of your health and do damage equal to that, plus some things. Hey, paralyzed. Oh no. It's not just that, it also gives you a shield proportional or equal, yeah, proportional to the total amount of damage you dealt. Like, yeah, the skills could be very interesting. The amount of gear and potentially the amount of classes you could have here are looking interesting, but that's all I have to say about this game. Interesting, you know. Let's give that guy a shield. 232, very nice. I don't know how do I recover focus. Right. Here's a ever so often, I don't know how many turns until you get to pick one. It's 6 or so. You get to pick a bonus. It can be either a heal, a energy restore, grant a shield, or it can be any of the buffs for attack or defense. It's an interesting idea. It makes sure that if you play the same combat, if you fail at it, next time it might turn out differently. But if you're, I don't know how scaling in this game works. 30% now, where every player will have close to the same gear, might not be the same 30, might not have the same impact. So 30% heal might not have the same impact as a 30% heal, like in 6 zones from now. That's a problem I think this game will have to deal with. How will scaling work? And how do you ensure that a bonus that gets offered to the player is always useful? Because I have no electric damage. This is the first enemy that ever does electric damage, as far as I can tell. And I've been offered several times, like, oh, earth defense increase. I have yet to see anyone who does earth damage, you know. So I think this is more of a, not a tech demo per se. You can play this, it works, but I think it's more of a demonstration of what works, what doesn't. I think the developer or developers are figuring out what to do with the game. Now, so I guess I'll pick shield would be nice, but the electric bolt just fucks it over, so I'll pick a heal. I think this is a regular attack which generates energy. Yeah. And that one is hidden in a menu. So if you're on a phone, you want as few of these as possible. Because if somebody has a wider finger, they could tap on something else and get annoyed, leave a negative review. So I don't know, like, is this a phone game? Is this not? Because you could easily make it so that each of these, if you don't have to click, but if you mouse over it, it shows this. And then you could pick, because right now I have to click, and all of these texts, like, yeah, okay, interesting, but they cover up so much of the screen, which, lets you do some calculations if you know the character stats off the top of your head, which I don't, so it's useless anyway. Just, there's a lot of things that I don't know what does this game want to do. Is it a phone game? Is it not a phone game? Are the developers amateurs, or do they have experience? Why should I be interested? Like, I don't mean that to be mean, by no means. I just don't see what's the appeal supposed to be. Was it space? Why is there no bits of space in the demo? Like, I don't mean like, oh, you have to have space designed, even if you mean it as one of the final stages or something. I mean that as a, you can have like dream sequences where the player visits space and fights something, like show off the assets, show off what the player might get to if they keep playing. It's very, I wouldn't even say bare bones. It's just, it has promise, but I don't know if that will ever get utilized. It's similar to like Stormgate, and that game had a lot of promise. Not after I got to see the demo and the trailers, because that looked awful, and it turned out awful. And they're taking way too long to do anything with the game, anything at all. And they focused on PvP players. The main audience for any RTS is the campaign. And then maybe if the campaign is good enough, where the players get to see the systems and decide if they like it, maybe then they will switch to PvP. But a PvP player will rarely to never switch to a campaign, I think. If content creators for strategy games are anything to go by, especially PvP players, they will visit a campaign only if it gets special attention. It's not their focus point. And if you don't have a user base which is interested in a campaign, why would there be a customer base for watching esports? I digress. I mentioned that as an example of why I don't know what is this game going to do. Now let me just turn the music on, or the sound on actually, and you get to hear some of the effects. I also have a gripe with the... Okay, it does show, I forgot, it's been long since I tried it for the first time. It does show here, but you can't mouse over and read what the stats are or anything. You have to go into the inventory for that, whereas in Sony you could see immediately if it was better or not. That would speed up things a lot. Why is there RGB in the title? I'm not a fan of that. You could also show the portrait of the character that gained XP here to separate and make him stand out. What are red spices? What's a belt? It could be nice if you could have like a weapon, recruit's gun, crafting item, or component, you know, resource or money. Just like, then there's story with no voice acting as far as I can tell. And then you get this. Right, I guess this is how the game will look like in the end. A friend list, a clan, a PvP raid. Yeah, I think this is just meant to be a mobile game. Like you could have one click social, and then it'd have the the friend list and the clan. Then you could have another multiplayer, PvP and raids. And you could have uh, character, and in it have, I don't know, like you could narrow this down a lot. Why do you have this bar up here, this dark bar? Like, and then it would be nicer if all of these were available at all times under like help or anything of that sort somewhere. Uh, and yeah, like show the tutorial as they become relevant. But this tutorial in regards to inventory was relevant when I started the game because I already started getting gear since like the first fight or the second fight. So I don't need all of these buttons to be this big. Just smaller, enhance, smaller, dismantle, and maybe another option. Like, why? Because then there's no space to see the entire stats. In Sony, the magic of the inventory and the grid was that if you moused over anything, you could see however many stats it had. You didn't have to scroll. Why can't I mouse over an item and see what it gives? Like a small box next to it that moves along with the cursor. Like, it's simple things like this. How much am I gonna have to click through? There we go. There's no easy, medium, hard. There's no... It's just... I think this tries to go too many directions, do too many things. It has hints of wanting to also be a PC game, but primarily looking like a phone game. Wanting to take some inspiration from Sony, but then also does like regular phone game shit, which I'm not a fan of. The feedback button doesn't work because it's a demo, I guess. I don't know what the keys are for. Like, it would do, I think, the game a favor if you hid things that have no relevance now. Maybe the keys become relevant. I don't know. But if you also grouped up the buttons and simplified the HUD. Like, do I need to see all this? Like in combat, the fewer... It's just too many things. Too many things, and I find myself not really wanting to play a whole lot. Because the shop never updates. There's never anything new. The only new things are in the... you only get things after combat, so... Well, look at this. What is GS? Gear score? -8, so it goes one level down, but gives more stats. Only... Like, why does a gun give fewer stats than double wrench? In Sony, the gun or the weapon of each opponent wasn't a guaranteed drop. But if you did get the drop from unique enemies, it was a very sought after because it had better stats. Why would a wrench be higher stats than a gun? Unless the gun were to grant you a unique skill to the gun. Like 10 strength, 10 agility. This gives 5 strength, 5 agility. Okay, so if both wrenches give strength and agility, why do I lose intelligence when neither of them gives intelligence and they're not a set item? Because they are set items. Like, you see what I mean? There's too many things going too many directions, in my opinion. And it's not... It doesn't inspire much confidence. I know that confidence isn't what a demo is looking for, but... Yeah, well, that's it for this one. I will see you next time.